It's been just over 3 years since Infiniti left the UK shores for good. The question is though, how have the prices fared since their departure from the UK market? And do they still make sense as a used buy? Well, this video has been made to find out, and I must give a shout out to one of my viewers who suggested this topic in one of my previous videos. Firstly though, let's get a bit of backstory. Infiniti was launched back in 1989, where its presence was mostly found among wealthy Asian countries such as Korea and Taiwan, as well as America and Canada. From the get-go, it was clear what Infiniti's eyes were set on, stealing a lot of the firmly consolidated market share from brands such as Mercedes-Benz and BMW, as well as American brands such as Cadillac. Just taking a look at some of their marketing campaigns to say just that. However, their first 20 years on American and Asian soil didn't change much, with one of their cars simply being a redesigned Nissan Primera. It wasn't until the early noughties when they started to make a stir with the Infiniti G35 Saloon and FX45 SUV. When they compared to the previous cars Infiniti had made, they were light years ahead, and they had perfected the balance of luxury and sporting credentials. Infiniti's arrival across the pond, as Americans like to put it, was mainly prompted by the encouraging uptake of their new models in America. Now, it's quite easy for you to fill in the blanks, but the more pressing question is whether Infiniti's early UK models are worth buying. What might come as a surprise, and it did to me as well, is how well early Infiniti models are holding on to their value. Just take the M series for example. For a 10-year-old executive saloon, prices are far higher than I was expecting. The only example from a car trader I found on Auto Trader was £9,000. For a 2013 car, its value is faring far better than the equivalent Audi or Mercedes, and very similar to that of a BMW 5 Series. Although this car's rarity could play a role in upholding the value of the car, I think it's what's under the bonnet that is making all the difference. Unlike with the 5 Series, E-Class and Audi A6, most people didn't opt for the 4-cylinder diesel, and instead many opted for the M35H powertrain, which combines a 3.5 litre V6 and electric motor assistance. It's by far the pick of the range, and the only engine that supersedes that of German rivals. The M35H achieves a claimed 40.9 mpg, impressive for a 3.5 litre V6, capable of hurling the car from 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. Although the M series isn't the sportiest car to drive, it's easy to see its appeal in today's age. Similar can be said for early examples of the FX. Although retained values aren't great for this model, they're not awful either. However, the FX doesn't come with the same hybrid powertrain as the M series. The best engine is either the 3 litre diesel or the 5 litre V8, as the 3.7 litre V6 feels compromised in every single way. The biggest shame with this car, however, is how impractical it is. The small boot can be excused on the M series, but on the FX, which is supposed to be practical as it's an SUV, it's more of a deal breaker. Overall, the FX doesn't seem quite as suited to its role as the M series, hence the lower price when compared to rivals. Both of these cars should prove reliable coming from a Japanese brand, but when things do go wrong, I imagine they'll be costly to repair, as there are a few Infinitis around. Servicing shouldn't be too much of an issue, because on these older cars, people are quite willing to just take it to their local service centre, unlike with the newer models. Where things start to go wrong for an Infiniti is when we come closer and closer to the newer release models, which have seen a dramatic fall in value. Now, there is one thing I lie the blame on almost entirely: the engines. A good way of proving this is with the Infiniti Q50 model, which sat alongside the BMW 3 Series. While a 65,000 mile 2015 model with the old 3.5 litre V6 hybrid will sell for £15,000, a model with the more popular 2.2 litre diesel will sell for nearly half that. On the face of it, it may seem as if the Q50 is more competitive than rivals when fitted with the smaller engine, but the fact of the matter is, people buying an 8-year-old Infiniti are more likely to want a high performance model than a small diesel, despite the lower running costs. This is because the Q50 is simply a less rounded alternative to rivals such as the BMW 3 Series. Therefore, the buyers in the market for an Infiniti at least want a car with a more exciting engine than a clattery old 2 litre diesel. Things get worse from here though. The Q30 small SUV has atrocious resale values. For just £10,000 you'll find yourself a 41,000 mile 2018 example, and there's a reason for this. Apart from the fact it had a dated interior, awful practicality, poor handling and slow engines, it was also very pricey from new. Another issue is that servicing and various other maintenance can't be done at a main dealer. On a relatively new car, that might be something which you wanted to do. To conclude, Infiniti's story has very much been a rise to fame and a huge plummet thereafter, and it was inevitable that Infiniti would leave UK shores for good. If you seek to buy a well-maintained example of the M series or the FX or any other early cars, I'm not going to discourage you, as they're good cars, if not quite as good as the BMW. However, I'd advise avoiding some of the later models with the smaller engines, as they're very subpar and they'll continue to plummet in value.